Let me start the session. Let me welcome all of you. To introduce myself, my name is Swananda Ranade. I happen to be the program director at IMS for the undergraduate test preparation, which is the aptitude test preparation after 12, non-technical side, which is we are not into engineering, we are not into medicine, we are not into architecture, but we cater to the whole lot of non technical aptitude segment, which is BBA, BMS, hotel management, mass communication, BCA, economics, BCom honors. So all the entrance based programs for which are held after class 12th, IMS runs programs for preparation of these entrances, and I happen to handle the program. So a little bit about myself. I happen to be an MBA from XLRI. Before that, I did my electronics engineering from Mumbai University. Worked for almost 17 years in 3 sectors, which is FMCG sales, IT, and now I'm in education. I'm in this role for past 5 years, and it has been great going so far. Little bit about IMS. IMS happens to be the oldest national player in the aptitude test segment. We started way back in 1977. So I mean, I was not even born when IMS started. And we have been mentoring, motivating, and guiding students for more than 40 years now. We are present across different segments. So we are present in the undergraduate segment, which I'm going to talk about today, which is options after 12th in India and abroad. I'm going to cover the India options today. We are present in the PG space, which is CAT and GMAT, CAT and CMAT. And of course, we are present in the study abroad segment, which is GMAT, GRE, and admission consulting, which is important part if you want to study abroad after your graduation for a postgraduate program. For more information, you can always visit our website, which is www.imsindia.com. And I am sure we'll be more than happy to address any further queries during this session and beyond this session, for which I will tell you whom to contact. For those who did not attend the morning session, we spoke about management career after 12th. It covered streams like BBA, BMS, BCom, hotel management. So as you could see, all of them are predominantly non-technical options. So what do you mean by non-technical options? To get into these programs through an entrance route, you do not need any subject knowledge at the entry point. So if you talk about the entrance exams through which you can get admission into these programs, you will not be required to know economics, accounts, physics, chemistry, maths. No, you don't need to know any of them. So what do you need to know? We'll come to that. IMS experts, both of my colleagues who are MBA themselves, and they have been closely associated with IMS for many years now, they discussed about career options and reputed colleges that offer the BBA, BMS, and the other programs that are mentioned here. You can, as I mentioned earlier, watch the recorded session on live.imsindia.com. When you registered for this event, you would have received an IMS PIN and password. So visit live.imsindia.com and attend that session using your PIN and password. It's a recorded session. You can view it anytime. So you haven't missed much. Right. So for those who attended the previous session, this slide essentially talks about most reputed colleges in India. It does not obviously cover all the colleges. It is not possible to cover all the colleges in one slide, but largely covers all the colleges which have entrance based admissions. So they have an aptitude test as an entry criteria to the program. They do not take admissions on the basis of class 12th board marks, or they do not have merit based admissions. So we are only talking about these, you can say, the best of the lot in the country, present across various locations in the country. And as you can see, they offer multiple programs. So on your left hand side, you will see BBA, Masscom, Liberal Arts, BCA, BSc, Stats, BCom, which means that while there are multiple programs that you may be interested in, it's not number of programs into number of colleges, because essentially there are a lot of colleges which offer more than one programs. So in something like NMIMS, just to take an example, you will see 6 options. Similarly, in Symbiosis, there are 5 options. In Christ University, there are 6 options. So what you essentially need to do is, first, decide your own interests, and there was a speech about how to decide your own interest of stream in the earlier session. Once you have decided which stream you want to go for, you are going to select multiple colleges which offer that stream. And once you have decided that stream, you are going to start your preparation towards those entrance exams. All the serious takers generally keep 3 to 4 university options open. They never rely on one university. Why do you want to keep 3 to 4 options open? Because all of them are aptitude tests. There are hundreds and thousands of students who are taking these tests, and you don't want to rely only on one exam for your admission to the stream of your preference. For example, if I'm interested in mass media for 3-year program after 12th, I should be taking Symbiosis, St. Xavier's, Christ University, and maybe one more exam. Keep my options open and then decide where I should be joining. With this introduction, let me go to the next slide, which talks about exam-wise breakup of the key exams. So obviously the next section-wise breakup, the next question is, what do these exams ask, right? For those who are new to the aptitude exam concept, pay attention to this slide. You can see subject areas like quantitative aptitude and DI, which stands for data interpretation. Nothing but some tables given, some bar charts given, some pie charts given, and you will be asked questions on the basis of those tables or those pie charts. Simple mathematical calculations is what you need to know. So you can see that quantitative aptitude is part of almost every exam. Obviously, it's a BBA exam, so there has to be some maths, some data interpretation. Then there is English. Now, data interpretation or quantitative aptitude is just on the basis of the subjects or topics that you have largely till 10th standard, which is simple compound interest, you have LCM, HCF, time, speed, distance, ratio, proportion. So all the topics which you have learned till 10th standard. So even if some of you would have left maths in 11th and 12th, you don't have to worry, because not all exams are going to require the topics taught in 11th and 12th in maths. If there is certain requirement for a particular exam, I will highlight it, don't worry. So as of now, just remember that topics that you have learned till 10th in maths is going to be sufficient for you to apply to most of these exams. Come to the second section, which is English. Now, English is also something which you have learned as part of your 10th standard curriculum. So it is going to be vocabulary, grammar, reading comprehension, jumbled paragraphs, fill in the blanks. So all those question types are going to appear in English. Obviously, depending on the exam, the percentage of each of these topics vary. So not all the exams will look exactly similar, but the topics that I mentioned are going to be more or less available across or asked across all these exams. Third one is reasoning and analytical ability, which talks about the questions which just require your reasoning skills. They do not require any prior knowledge of any subject. So something like a family tree, where you will be given 2 to 3 generations. X is daughter of Y, Y is mother of Z, Z is someone's sister-in-law. So what is the relation between X and Y, for example? Or it could be directions. So I walked for 10 kilometers, then I took a right, then I walked for another 5 kilometers, then I took 2 lefts after 4 kilometers each. In which direction have I reached with respect to my starting point? That's as simple as directions. Then you have those arrangement questions. So you have 5 people sitting in a row, and you have 5 students who are occupying that row. So X is to the or sitting at the extreme right. Then you have Y, which is standing in the middle. Then Z is not sitting next to Y, and so and so, so and so, so and so. And finally, there will be some questions asked on the basis of the information given. So the information given in that caselet is applicable only for that caselet. You are not supposed to use that for the earlier questions or the later questions. That's reasoning. Then you have general or business awareness, in simple terms, GK, general knowledge. Now, general knowledge is one subject which has not been part of your curriculum consistently, right? At least across boards, it hasn't been taught as part of curriculum. So this is a new area for you, and it will be asked in some exams. So you'll have to prepare for that general knowledge section. General knowledge largely consists of 2 things. One is current affairs. Current affairs means something which is happening now. The appointments, the new apps launched, the new mergers or acquisitions, what's happening in the world, government news, government schemes, science and technology inventions. So anything which is happening now, something which keeps changing, is going to be part of your current affairs. Then there is a static GK. So something which has happened, something which is not going to change. So Second World War is not going to change, or anything related to independence struggle of India is not going to change, or certain book authored by someone. Now forever that book will be authored by the same person. He is not going to change. So there are some subjects which are purely static GK, something which doesn't change with time. Broadly, these two are covered under general or business awareness. Business awareness also gets into something like trade terminologies. So what is meaning of current account deficit? What is meaning of fiscal deficit, right? So terms which are generally used in the business context or the economy context, they could also be asked as part of the business awareness, which is one question type under general knowledge. Clear? Right. Then you will see some exam specific sections. So you will see a management and communication skills section, which is asked in the IP University CET. IP University Delhi conducts a common exam, which is called as CET. So IPU CET is conducted separately for BBA, BCom, Mass Communication, BCA, and a lot of other programs, right? So all of them have separate papers, and there is an exam structure that you can see for the BBA exam as of now. Then you will come across IPM Indore. So for those of you who are planning to get into, or at least want to try for the 5-year integrated program, which is a combination of BBA and MBA, it is currently being offered by two IIMs, one being Indore, other being Rohtak. And you will see the exam structure of those which has quantitative aptitude and English. It does not have GK in either exam. You will also look at NPAT, which is entrance exam for multiple programs, which you saw in the previous slide. Even that does not have GK. Then you have a set general, which is required for all the non-law programs at Symbiosis, which is BBA, BCom Honors, BSc Economics, Liberal Arts, etc. You have a set exam. It also has general knowledge as part of its exam paper pattern. JMI is Jamia Millia, Delhi. Then you have Christ University, and finally you have St. Xavier's, Mumbai. Now, if you look across the sections and exams, you will largely see that the coverage is not going to be very different. So a typical aptitude test will not consist of many sections beyond these four. So you have quantitative aptitude, you have logical reasoning, you have GK, and you have English. Beyond that, there could be very few exams which have their own sections. Otherwise, all of them are going to more or less follow the same sections. Now, there are some specifics given at the bottom of the table. So most of them are multiple choice questions, which means there will be certain questions for which 4 options will be given. So out of 4, only one answer is going to be correct. In some exams, you will see there is a negative marking. In some exams, there is no negative marking. So whatever you mark, either you get +1 or 0. And there will be other exams in which there is a negative marking. So either you get a +1 or -1/4, or you get a +4 and -1, right? Now, spoken about BBA or BMS exams, the other exams, which is for hotel management, mass communication, BCA, etc., they have a similar pattern, except of maybe one exam specific section in each one of them. So as you can see, there is a service level aptitude section, which is part of the Hotel Management Joint Admission Test, or JEE, Joint Entrance Examination, NCHM JEE, or Hotel Management JEE as it is called. It has a section on service level aptitude. Then there is a media aptitude section as part of mass communication exam at IP University. So IPU Masscom CET has a media aptitude section. IPU BCA entrance exam has a computer aptitude as one of its sections, right? So there will be some sections which are specific to exams, but Quant, LR, DI, English is going to be, and GK in most cases is going to be part of most of the BBA, BMS, or other related programs entrance. Right? Now, while each of these exams has its specifics, I have only selected 3 exams because these 3 are the most aspirational exams, and each of them have a unique structure. And let me spend time on explaining that structure. So while it's going to be repetition of what I spoke earlier in terms of which sections it has, each of them is very has something unique to it. Let's see what. If you see DUJAT, which is for admission into the BMS program, the BBE, which is economics programs, and BBA in F&IA, which is finance and finance, insurance and accounts at Delhi University colleges. Now they accept DUJAT as an entrance exam. This can be taken only if you have taken 11th, if you have taken maths in 11th and 12th standard. So this is one of the exams where there is a requirement of you having taken 11th and 12th maths. Now questions are jumbled sections. So you will not have all questions belonging to quant first, followed by all questions in LR, followed by all questions in GK. That's not necessarily going to be the case. So you see the first section last year had 84 questions out of 100, and it was all jumbled. So you saw 4 questions in maths, followed by 3 questions in verbal, followed by a few questions in GK. Then you had an LR caselet, again going back to quant. So your mind has to continuously switch between one question type to other question type in a different area, right? So you had to program your mind in such a way that you don't mind jumbling from one question type to another question type. That is the kind of preparation that DUJAT requires. Then you had another section with 300 plus words of RC passage, pretty long for just 5 questions, but you cannot skip it because it was a pretty straightforward RC. Then you get a matrix arrangement, linear arrangement, circular arrangement, which are logic reasoning caselets. On the other side, you saw there was a miscellaneous section. So if you see within the miscellaneous section, out of 84, there were 14 to 20 to 26 questions in each of the areas. So the quant, LR, GK that you can see on the right hand side, you will see split of these 84 questions. There was no sectional time limit, so you could jump from one section to the other section. But the challenge here was that not all the questions of one area are combined in one place, right? That was something unique about DUJAT. Now, within quantability, what you see, 7 to 8 questions of geometry, which includes coordinate geometry, trigonometry, and the basic geometry that you should know anyways. 2 to 3 questions each of functions, limits, integration, differentiation, matrices, determinants, and vectors. So this is the only exam which requires you to have taken 11th maths, and the topics from that 11th and 12th maths will be asked in the exam. So vectors, integration, differentiation is not asked in any other BBA exam. But if you are planning to take DUJAT, you should be thorough with these topics also. And there were a few questions from work and effort, statistics, equations. So you can see a predominantly advanced maths, higher maths oriented section. So functions, generally in class 10th, we don't come across functions as a major question type, but yes, for this exam it will be. So your preparation in these two areas is going to be the key if you want to ace this exam. Let's go to the other sections. Reasoning, arrangements, linear, circular, matrix, family tree, 3 to 4 questions each of alphanumeric series and coding, 1 to 2 questions each of syllabus, directions, analogies, puzzles. So you can see it was a fair mix across topics. English, interestingly, a vocab heavy section. Antonyms, synonyms, there were some questions from misspelled words also, idioms and phrases. So out of 25, almost 33 questions, 33% of questions, which is 8 questions each, were from these areas, followed by RC passage, which we spoke about earlier, and grammar, spelling correction, word usage, and verbal analogy. So your expertise in vocabulary and grammar both are going to be very important if you are going to ace this exam. Business and general awareness. Remember, this is a BBA entrance, so there are going to be some questions from the business area also. Let's see which ones. So 2 to 3 questions each from national insignia, which is the national anthem of India, which is the national bird of India, national animal, etc., etc. Then awards and honors, government politics, personalities, sports, business entities, physical and world geography. Now, largely across in the GK section, you will more or less see the same topics covering again and again, appearing again and again. So when you are going to prepare for GK, your 80% preparation is going to be largely same across exams, and 20% needs to be tweaked as per the individual exams requirement, right? So it's not as if for every exam you'll have to prepare GK completely new, but yes, the basic minimum preparation of GK is going to be there, that you have to do. Then there were some questions on books and authors, history, general sciences, which means those inventors and inventions, units of measurements, measuring instruments, something which you might have learned somewhere or read somewhere till your 10th standard sciences, right? Now note here, static GK was 12 to 17 questions and current affairs 8 to 13 questions. Now why this difference? Because the exam was conducted in two time zones. So one was in the morning shift, one was in the evening shift. And the number of questions, the split obviously differed. The exam pattern was not same for both. There was slight difference. So there could be 12 to 17 questions in static GK, current affairs 8 to 13 questions. That means both sections are important. You can't ignore any of them. So you have to ensure that you start preparing for GK well in advance, because one, you should be able to know where to study GK from, where to pick news from which are relevant from the exam point of view. Otherwise, GK something or the other keeps happening, correct? So something happens, some quarrel happens in your neighborhood, that is also news, right? Something happens in the police station next to your residence, that is also important. What is important to know is what is relevant from the exam point of view, right? So don't get swayed away by current affairs or static GK. These are the big words, but there is a way to go about it. There is a method to prepare for GK. As you can say, there is a method in madness. There is a vast ocean of GK, but if you know where to study from, what is relevant from the exam's point of view, you will most likely be able to do most of the preparation for this section. Right so far? Let's quickly go to what is a good score. Now, DUJIT exam authorities do not reveal the exact score of the entrance exam. What they do is, on the basis of weighted average of JIT score, which is 65% in importance, and class 12 score, which is 35% importance, and this percentage varies from year to year, the exam authorities released the rank cutoffs for 2019 admissions. So they did not tell us what was the actual raw score from the exam. Also, they did not tell us what was the exact score given for the 12th standard marks. They did not. They just gave us a composite score. But our understanding of students who did well in this exam and eventually got to the top 50, 100, 200 ranks of DUJAT, when we looked at their mock test scores and when we asked them, tell me how much you think you would have scored in this exam, they told us this score of around 240 plus, right? Which means roughly 75% attempts and 85% accuracy should get you a score of around 240 plus. And this is largely true for all the BB exams, that 65 to 70% of your total number of marks, remember 65 to 70% of your total number of marks, more or less, are going to be sufficient to get you to the next stage of shortlist. What do I mean by next stage of shortlist? In case of NMIMS, there is no next stage. So you take the entrance exam, NPAT, you get a call, or you don't get a call, you take an admission into the college and it's passed. If it's something like IIM Indore or a Symbiosis, then you take the exam, you are shortlisted for the personal interview or the written ability test, you clear that round also, and on the effective performance or the combined performance of your entrance test, PI and VAT, you are for the final admission or you are not considered, correct? So by and large, 65 to 70% of total number of marks is what you need to make it to the next stage of admission for any university. So this is one exam that you spoke about. Let's also talk about IPM Indore. How many of you have heard about IPM Indore exam? So IPM Indore exam is for admission into 5-year integrated program, which is a combination of BBA and MBA after your class 12th, right? So there are two programs at IIMS. One is the regular MBA program, which is a 2-year program for which you can apply only in the final year of graduation or later. And this is the other program where you can apply anytime after you have taken the class 12th examination, right? So I'm talking about the 5-year program. If you see, this is also a unique exam. So the number of questions is 100. There is a sectional time limit, which means there are 40 minutes each allotted to every exam, every section. And only after one section is over can you get into the next section. Once you have entered the next section, you cannot come back. right? So you have to be very particular about how much time you are going to spend on each section, which questions are you going to attempt and which questions you are going to leave, because there is a -1 marking in 2 of the 3 sections. So you can see quant ability MCQ, which is multiple choice questions, and you can see verbal ability. Both of them had +4 -1, whereas the first short answers 20 questions that does not have any negative marking. So if you know how to solve, you are going to actually calculate and type the answer in the blank space provided. And in case you get absolutely no clue about some questions, you are still going to attempt it because there is no negative marking anyways, right? So this is a very characteristic exam. If you see 20 questions, 40 minutes, then you can gauge that not all of them are going to be sitters. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given you 2 minutes per question. Remember, whenever the time per question is less, in all those exams, the difficulty level is also going to be pretty low. But in the exams, wherever the time given per question is generally on the higher side, are generally exams that require in-depth preparation, where you need to be aware of lot of different variety of questions which can be built around a certain concept. And maybe there are not those straightforward questions that a question is asked, I'm going to answer it and I'm going to go ahead. No, maybe not. So this is one type of exam. It's not difficult or easy. I keep saying students make any exam difficult or easy. Exam is never easy or difficult in itself. You put in appropriate efforts and you can clear all these exams, right? There is no problem about it, right? Let's take a quick look inside a section. IPM Indore 2019 had a quant section with short answers, 20 questions. As I said, type in the answer. So you didn't have any multiple choice options. ABCD was not there. You had 4 questions each from sequences and series, algebra, logarithms and averages. 2 questions each from percentages, probability and Venn diagram. Now remember, logarithms, sequences, series, we call these topics as advanced maths topics. Now some of you might have learned it as part of 10th standard, but it helps if you have taken math in 11th and 12th standard to crack these exams, because you are in touch with the subject. Not to say that non-math students should not apply for IPM, definitely not, they can also try, but just because you are in the mode, you are in the mindset to do maths in your 11th and 12th standard, lot of these concepts will come to you naturally and you will have to put proportionately lesser efforts to prepare for these exams. But every year we have sufficient number of non-math students who also prepare for these exams and crack. So don't be under the impression the maths is not an eligibility criteria for IPM Indore. Anyway, all the non-math students are also eligible to take the IPM Indore exam. So is the case with IPM Rohtak. So there is no problem as far as the eligibility is concerned, right? Let's look at the other sections. IPM Indore quant section, which is multiple choice questions. Here you will see 9 to 10 questions from probability, PNC, data interpretation, coordinate geometry and trigonometry, logarithms, averages, percentages. Now you will start seeing some kind of repetition with the type of questions across exams. In DUJAT, did you see logs? Did you see coordinate geometry? Did you see trigonometry? Did you see PNC? Yes or no? Raise your hands. Did you see some common topics? Yes, I can see some raise of hands. That's correct. That means there are some common topics which you will see across these 3 exams. The next one being NPAT, which is also a fairly challenging exam, perceived by students as challenging. No exam is challenging, it depends on your preparation. But there are some commonalities also in these 3 most coveted exams, I should say, most challenging exams. You will see sequences and series, set theory, mensuration, numbers and functions. So it's not as if the regular topics are not asked. You will see a profit and loss somewhere, you will see averages, percentages somewhere, but your preparation of advanced maths is important. IPM Indore. IPM does not ask any higher maths questions, which means no vectors, no integration, no differentiation. Correct? It will not be asked. It has not been asked so far in IPM Indore. So those higher maths topics were required only for DUJAT. They are not asked in any other exam. Right? Let's look at English. You will see some common features. Reading comprehension has to be there in every exam. And you will see fill in the blanks, use of words, use of phrases. Now understand the uniqueness of IPM. IPM does not ask you many questions which are purely vocab based questions. So you will not be asked match the pairs of antonyms and synonyms, analogies questions. They are not going to ask you those direct questions. What they are going to ask is the contextual vocab. How do you fill in the blanks in a particular passage or a sentence depending on a phrase which is the most suitable fitment in the fill in the blank, which means it is your English which is going to help you. It is your reading which is going to help you and not pure vocab or pure grammar. So don't mug up that word list and go for IPM Indore because you know antonyms synonyms of 1,000 words. It's not going to help you because they will not ask you questions which are directly vocab based. Understand this difference. Para jumbles, which means you will be given 4 sentences jumbled in a particular manner and you will have to make the most obvious or the most congruent order of these sentences which will make a coherent passage. Remember, that's also an art and it comes with some basic rules, but a lot of it also has to do with your intuitive grasp of English as a section. Remember, a lot of us would have studied in English medium. That does not make us English masters. We all know our English course and we can speak for ourselves, right? So irrespective of which medium you have learned from, you have to prepare for English for an aptitude exam. Luckily, most of you are getting into 11th or 12th. Some of you might have completed your 12th, but English is going to be part of your syllabus. So you are going to be in touch with this subject. So use this as a benefit that you are preparing not only for your boards, you are also subconsciously or consciously preparing for the English sections of these exams as well, right? If you study with that in mind, your interest levels are going to be high and you will most likely do well in the English section also. And you can see on your right hand side word substitution in passages, paragraph inference. So it is the vocab usage which is going to be important part of this section, not just the vocab, right? Okay, let's get into the selection process of IPM. Now we spoke about entrance, but we also said that there are some other elements which are part of IPM Indore. What are they? So you will see a complicated table by which they calculate something called as an aptitude test calculation. Don't get into too much detail, it does not really matter because it is for their internal calculation. And then process becomes slightly more complicated because aptitude test score is just 50% of your weightage, followed by a PI, personal interview, and a written ability test. That means you will have to do well in all these sections, all these phases or stages of your selection process if you want to eventually make it to IPM. So that makes it unique case in its own. Just like DU was unique, IPM Indore is another unique exam. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Right. Let's come to the third exam, which is also representative. This does not mean that other exams are not significant. Obviously, they are. So there is a Christ University, IP University, Nirma, St. Xavier's, Symbiosis. There are many other exams which fetch you, which get you into the most coveted or good brand universities. But most of them will look like 3 exams with a different level of difficulty. So remember these 3 exams only from the pattern point of view, that they are different from each other, each has its uniqueness. Most of the other exams will be like one of these 3 exams, right? So let's look at NPAT. NPAT does not have negative marking. It does not have any sectional time limit. So you can jump from one section to other. No one is going to stop you. There is no negative marking. So while you should still solve or attempt as many questions with utmost seriousness, in case you don't know some of the questions, finally you are just going to type the answers, or you are going to select one of the answers. No typing here, all 4 are multiple choice questions. So you are just going to select one of the answers and go ahead. There is no negative marking, right? So total 100 minutes, 120 questions, less than a minute, which gives you a hint that some of the sections are going to be pretty easy, which will bring down your average attempt time, and whatever time you save, you are going to use for the other sections, right? When 100 minutes, 120, it's not going to be exactly 48 seconds per question. There will be some questions which will consume less time, and there will be some questions which will consume more time. But because you have liberty to move across the sections, you will be able to manage all the 120 questions within the given 100 minutes, right? Okay, are you tired of reading this? Trigonometry, mensuration, sequences series, statistics, and then you can see coordinate geometry, time and work, functions, surds and indices, quadratic equations, and some questions on linear equations, percentages, probability. So all those topics which I kept repeating throughout this, which is trigonometry, your sequences series, mensuration, coordinate geometry, probability, P and C, uh, all of these are called advanced maths. And for all these three exams, knowing advanced maths is the key, because finally that difference of 8 to 9 marks is going to see someone through and will not see others through. So remember, it is your expertise in these topics, of course with other sections also. So it's not as if I will do good in advanced maths, English and LR it's okay if I don't do well, that's not going to help. So all the sections are going to be important, but these are going to be the differentiators in you getting those extra 7-8 marks, which can make a lot of difference. Right. Reasoning, more or less a standard section. So you'll see selection criteria, data sufficiency, Venn diagram, syllogism, symbol based logic, group conditionalities. So you will see so many topics. So NPAT is a unique exam. Why? Because you won't get 10 topics from one question. You will get so many topics from different questions, so many questions from different topics. So two questions each from 5 topics, 3 questions each from 3 more topics, and there will be say 5 questions from 1 or 2 topics, which makes it easy to score, because even if it's something, there is a high chance that a few questions will be asked from that topic, right? And the pattern is more or less stable. Last 2 to 3 years, NPAT hasn't changed much in terms of the difficulty level or in terms of the topics that it covers. It hasn't drastically changed, which makes it more predictable exam. But yes, you have to put in some effort, especially advanced maths. Most programs at NMIMS, except 2 programs, remember those 2 programs do not require maths as eligibility criteria. Those 2 programs are BBA in branding and advertising and liberal arts. So BBA branding and advertising and liberal arts are 2 programs at NMIMS Mumbai campus which do not require maths as eligibility criteria. The exam will be same, so you'll have to write the same exam, but it's not a eligibility criteria for these 2 programs. Whereas for BCom honors, BSc finance, BSc economics, having taken maths or statistics in 11th and 12th is mandatory. Just keep this in mind. So in case you have NPAT plans for any of the later set of programs that I spoke about, you should have taken maths in 11th and 12th. So if you are in 10th and if you are going to enter 11th standard next year, keep that in mind, that have maths as one of your subjects as far as possible. It will anyways help you for a lot of exams. Even if you don't have it, as I mentioned, for many exams it is only class 10th maths which is asked. So St. Xavier's, Christ, symbiosis, it is only topics learned till class 12th which are going to be predominantly asked, right? So it's not as if BBA is not for non-math students. A lot of non-math students really do well in IP University exam, CRIS, symbiosis, even IPM. So it all depends on your preparation, right? Let's go to the next one. English, largely same. I spend much time on this. Same RC, same fill in the blanks, same grammar, vocab, and fill in the and parajumbles, right? Finally, one exam, very important for non-math students, because symbiosis has several benefits. See, it is spread across locations. There is a symbiosis in Pune, in Nagpur, Noida. That means people in the central part, even southern part and northern part, all of them have this as a viable option. Having taken maths is not compulsory. So you can take a set general exam. You can see the exam pattern, 150 minutes, 150 question, no negative marking, no sectional time limit, right? Also, the quantitative ability section does not require you to know a lot of functions and probability PNC. Some questions might be asked, but not a majority. Definitely no integration differentiation in this exam. So pretty doable. Lot of non-math students prefer this exam. Of course, you have to prepare for GK, but if you start your well in advance, GK has never been a problem for most students, right? Verbal ability, logical reasoning is standard. Fine. Now comes the key question. What's a good score in these exams? Finally, all this is fine. I understood the exam pattern. Tell me how much I need to score. Now, all I mentioned to you is IPM has something called as aptitude test score calculation, which looks little tedious. Maximum marks minus minimum marks upon something into 30. Don't get there. Let's only worry about the number of marks which you needed in each section. Remember, there was a sectional cutoff and there is a sectional time limit as well. So you get only 40 minutes per section, and also you need to score something minimum in every section. Only if you clear all the 3 sectional cutoffs, you will be considered or shortlisted for the PI VAT round. So if you look at 40 questions, and this is +4 -1 marking, right? So you see QA short answers, that 20 mark section which does not have any multiple choice, you just need to type in the answers. 16 was the cutoff. So with +4 and 0 mark, because there is no negative marking for short answer section, you needed 4 questions right out of 20 questions to clear the sectional cutoff. Come to the second one, which is multiple choice question. 25 was the sectional cutoff. So with +4 -1, it's something like 7 right questions and 3 wrong questions. 7 into 4 28 minus 3 into 1 3 25. So in 40 minutes you needed to get 7 questions right and 3 questions wrong to reach a score of 25. In verbal it was 85, which is something like 20 correct answers. 22 into 4 is 88 minus 3. So you needed 22 right and 3 wrong answers to reach a score of 85. Things were not very different in 2019. Slight change, 60 became 20. So you needed 5 out of 20 questions to get right in the short answer section. You needed 8 right, 1 wrong in the MCQ section, and you needed something like 18 questions right and 1 question wrong to clear the cutoff of verbal section. In addition to this, it was always better to maximize your raw score rather than only focusing on the sectional cutoffs, because then you increased your chances of eventually getting a shortlist and doing well after the PI VAT round. So you clear sectional cutoffs, you are called for the PI VAT round. But if your raw score is also good and if PI VAT is largely a lot of students, then obviously you stand a better chance because there is a 50% importance given to your entrance test score. Correct? Right. Let's come to NPAT. Now, after 2016, NPAT authorities have not revealed their sectional cutoffs or total. There is no sectional cutoff, the overall cutoffs. In NPAT, there is no sectional score limit or sectional cutoff also. So the total score they have not revealed after 2016. But again, our estimate of students who eventually got to NPAT, cleared NPAT and got into a lot of NM courses, they told us they would have scored something like 85, 86 out of 120, which comes to 65% of 120, slightly more, 70% of 120 is 84. So you can be rest assured that more or less 65 to 70% is a ballpark for a lot of exams to fetch you a shortlist for the next stage. SET BBA Pune and Noida, now they give the scorecard to all the students who eventually made through or who got a PI VAT shortlist. So when we analyzed the scorecards, we saw that 94 was the lowest score out of 150, in which a Symbiosis Pune shortlist was given last year. Rather, last year it was 88. SET BBA Noida was slightly lesser. So no matter where you start, your aim has to be 65 to 70% of total number of marks in the final exam. Let's take another example. IPM Rohtak, they also have a 5-year integrated program, which is first 3 years BBA, next 2 years of MBA. Last year was their first year of conducting an exam. The general category cutoff for a PI VAT shortlist was 256 out of 400. 256 out of 400 is around 64%. So that brings us back to 70% of total number of marks in the normal circumstances. When the exam is not too difficult or not too easy, this can be called as a safe score. So doesn't matter where you start, you have to reach these scores eventually. That should be your target. Whether you are an expert, where you have not even started, or whether you are somewhere in the middle, eventually you have to reach there on the test day. Correct? Great. Now, how do you prepare? How do you know where you stand? That is the first question, because unless you know where you stand, you can't decide how much extra distance you need to travel. Correct? So suppose you want to reach the peak of the mountain, and you don't know whether you will be able to cover it in 1 day or 15 days or 30 days. What you do is, you maybe walk for a day. You see how many you have traveled. That gives you some idea of your stamina. And then you can assess whether you will require 1 week or 1 month or 2 months to reach the peak of that mountain. Similarly, here you are going to take a zero preparation test on IMS website, right? So if you type imsindia.com/BBA, imsindia.com/BBA, you will see some free mock tests given there. There is a free mock test for each of the exams that we spoke about. So there is a free mock test for NPAT, Symbiosis, IPM, DUJAT. Whichever exam you want to try your hand at, you will get a zero preparation test. So assuming that you are not prepared at all, just take that exam with an open mindset. You will see where you stand. So your score is what you actually got out of your zero preparation. Then there is something called a scoring potential, and the difference between two, knowledge gap. Let me explain what the knowledge gap is. I see a question and I just don't know how to do it. I don't know the concept required to solve that question. For example, some of you who have taken upstream, who have taken maths, those who have taken maths, you would have seen a concept of upstream downstream. How many of you have heard this? Raise your hand. Upstream downstream. Upstream and downstream is based on which concept of maths? You can use your chat box only once now. Chat box only once now to tell me which concept is upstream downstream based on. Relative speed. If two entities are moving in the same direction or different directions, their speeds are either added or subtracted. Correct? That is relative speed. Upstream downstream is based on the relative speed. Now, if I come across an upstream downstream question and I have never seen it before, I have not even learnt relative speed, will I be able to solve that question? No, I will not be. Correct? That means the concept required to solve a particular question is lacking, and hence you won't be able to solve certain questions. That is what I call knowledge gap. Then suppose I learn all the concepts required in English, in logical reasoning, in English, in maths, including advanced maths. Let's take for example, and I have solved all the concepts. That means next time I see a particular question, I am going to at least start looking at it, or I will be able to recognize what is required to be done. Second part is efficiency gap. So suppose I give all of you some 50 questions. Some of you will do it in an hour, some of you will do in 2 hours, some of you will do it tomorrow, and others may come back to me next year, right? So what is important is all of you will be given the same 100 minutes to solve the questions. Still, some people make it, other students don't make it. Why? It's not because you are not serious, you are serious. Not because there is lack of hard work, all of you do a lot of hard work. What is important is, unlike your 12th standard exam, where there are marks for each step that you solve, correct? So to write the formula, there is 1 mark. The next 2 steps, 2 marks. Final answer, 1 mark. That's how you do your boards, right? 11th, 12th, all throughout your schooling, we have learned in the same way. In aptitude exams, it doesn't work that way. It's not required for you to tell the examiner how you arrived at an answer, so long as you do, right? No one is going to ask you how many steps you took. No one will ask you why B, why did you choose B, which might be right answer, and why not C. They are not going to ask you. So how do you reach the answer is critical. How you need not explain it to anyone. so long as you got it right. Which means the elimination of those 4 options which are given, they can be your friends. So we say options are friends, especially in something like math, logic, even English for that matter. Options can be your friends. Can I use the options wisely? Because answer has to be one of those 4. There is no fifth answer. Another thing, whether it is long question or a short question, whether it is lengthy question, difficult or easy question, all the questions carry same marks. No one expects you to solve all the questions anyways. It's not required. We saw 65 to 70% of total number of marks. So you need not answer every question, which tells me that it is the selection of questions which is important, and solving it in the minimum possible time is also important. So there will be some questions put inside the paper as time wasters. Now, can I identify those time wasters? That is the trick. And once I have identified that I am going to solve only these 15 questions, not the other 8 questions, how fast can I solve those questions? Is there a trick involved? Is there a quick question which can help me solve, avoid a lot of steps or elimination of options, as I mentioned? Now, all of them will help you save those precious minutes in which you can attempt some more questions and then reach the cutoff. So just by knowing all the basics, I have only reached a scoring potential by bridging the knowledge gap. But those final 10-12 marks, trust me, only come by bridging the efficiency gap. How alert, how efficient, how effective I am during 120 minutes or 150 minutes or 100 minutes of my exam. Only when you have bridged these 2 gaps, you are going to make it to the cutoff stage. Now, for some of you who feel that their inherent strength is logical reasoning or English or maths, some of you might take lesser effort, lesser time to bridge the gaps. For some of you, it may take longer. That's why what matters is when you start your session, so that you get sufficient time to bridge those gaps. Remember, you have school or college, 11th and 12th, also going on in parallel. So when do you start your preparation is the key. But all of you are definitely in a position to think that you can make it, because we have seen sufficient number of people at various stage of their expertise in these sections eventually making it to these institutes, right? So there is nothing impossible, and all of you can try your level best to reach there. It's just that the journey for someone will take longer, for someone the journey may take shorter. It's okay. Great. Now let me come to IMS programs. So quickly, students join us in the 12th standard as soon as they start their 12th standard. They join us as soon as they start the 11th standard, and they join us after the standard boards. So we have students who come to us for a 2-year program, for whom the syllabus completion will be done in the first year. Then there will be 2 rounds of revision classes, because in 11th standard you might have some extracurricular activities. Some of you might be good in sports, reading, a lot of cultural activities at your college, and you may want to participate. You are just out of your 10th standard, so you don't want to put too much of hard work in 11th standard. That's okay. We will do syllabus completion in year 1. This will be followed by 2 rounds of revision classes, one in the first 6 months of your 12th standard, and second revision after your 12th standard boards. After syllabus completion in first year, in second year, you will predominantly do exam specific workshops and mock test solving. So your theory part, or we call learn part or concepts part, is done in the first year. There are no unfamiliar topics for you, but in the second, you are going to rely on practice. You are going to do as many different types of questions which can be framed around a particular topic, so that in the actual exam you meet fewer and fewer surprises. And you are going to take the full length mock tests which are similar to the final exam that you are going to take. So if the final exam is going to be online, your mock test will be online. If your final exam is paper based, your mock test will also be paper based, and they will be of the similar difficulty level with the same division or breakup of topics that you will find in the actual exam. If you have entered 12th standard, your syllabus will be completed before boards. So you start something like now, and by November, December, you will get into your pre-boards. Your syllabus will be completed by December. You would have received your books, so you can study at home. We also have a MyIMS portal, which I will show you, which is a student portal. You will get a chance to repeat all your classes boards if you want to, if you have forgotten some of the classes concepts, or you might have missed some of the concepts. You can attend all those concepts again after your boards. You will do exam specific workshops after boards, and you will do mock test solving and analysis. Now, some of you, and especially those who decide or make up their mind to pursue BBA or BMS very late, now they have no option but to start their preparation after their 12th standard. Hopefully, most of you will decide that you want to start your preparation early and not leave it till the last 1.5 months after your 12th standard board. See what is happening now. All the exams got postponed. A lot of students could not come to attend the classes because everything is closed now. So they had to rely on online classes. Obviously, IMS geared up to the situation pretty fast, but you may want to study inside a class with 30 other students, with your friends, so that you get a face-to-face faculty interaction. If you are now entering a 12th standard, the centers are eventually going to have to open in the few months, right? So it is better to start your preparation early. I remember 1.5 years back, there was a CBSE paper leak. So one of the exam had to be reconducted. So that increased uncertainty, gave students even lesser time after their board exams to take these exams. Remember, all these aptitude exams, NPAT, Symbiosis, all the names that I took are going to happen in the second week of May, first or second week of May. DUJAD happens late. It happens in July, June or July. St. Xavier's also happens in June. This year, obviously, all the exams are extended, but next year is not going to be the same. It's going to be like any other year, right? So you typically get something like 4 to 5 weeks of preparation after your boards. Do you want to rely only on those 4 to 5 weeks for as important sections as GK, advanced maths, and those who want to work on their English? Do you want to rely on those last 4 to 5 weeks for your preparation? Think about it, right? But still, even those who decide to join us late for 1.5 months after your boards, fast track syllabus completion, the frequency of classes is going to be every day 2 to 3 classes. You can't do much about it because time will be limited. Test prep strategy sessions will be conducted. Obviously, you'll have online portal at your disposal, and you can attend. You can view a lot of content on the online portal, which I will come to. Mock test solving and analysis. So IMS programs are distributed in all the 3 durations, right? Now we offer flexible programs as per student needs. Now the first program that we call is blended classroom. In the simplest possible language, it's a mix of what you will do inside a class and what you will do at your home, right? So there are concept classes, workshops that will be eventually done in a classroom. Obviously not right now, but eventually yes. Study material created by experts, access to IMS center infrastructure. So most of the IMS centers have a pretty well-equipped lab with computers where you can practice, and there is a student portal which you can exercise or you can access from your home also. So it's a mix of online content as well as offline content or physical presence, hence it is called as a blended classroom. Then you have only online. So if you are based in a location where IMS center is not present, or if you have other commitments, for example in 12th standard you'll have multiple other classes to attend, so you'll have accounts class, economics class, or extracurricular activities for whatever reason. If your commutation time is long, so in a place like Delhi, or if you are staying in a place which is not in the heart of the city, then maybe there will be commutation time of 1 hour, 1.5 hours. You may want to save that time, so you can attend a completely online program about your test preparation journey, whether it is 1 year, whether it is 2 years. You can attend completely online. You just want a mentor interaction, but you don't need a physical visit to the center, or you don't want to do a physical visit to the center, it's fine. So you can attend completely online. Remember, these are live classes, these are not recorded classes, correct? Faculty is going to see you and talk to you just like we are doing this session live, where you can see me and I can respond to your queries. That is going to be how the sessions will be conducted. And at any point of time, if you feel that you want to upgrade to a blended classroom program by which you can actually start attending the physical classes, that is also possible. Then there is a third lot which wants to rely on the self-learning mode. They want to study on their own. So all they need is study material, access to a student portal where they can see concept video, class recap video, they can take topic wise tests. In case GK is part of your exam preparation, you can prepare for GK quizzes. So all of that, and you can also upgrade to classroom program later if you feel that you need some hand holding, some faculty interaction, some peer interaction, which brings that competitive spirit. Then at any point of time you can upgrade to the blended classroom program also, right? So all three options are possible for a 1 year, 2 year or short term program student, right? Quickly going through the long term program features, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. So a 1 year program is called as Intact 21. When I say BBA, though the name is BBA, it takes care of BBA, BMS, hotel management, mass communication, liberal arts, economics, BCA. Entrance exams of all these programs are going to be covered by this program. You can see 380 hours of blended classroom program. So some of it is going to be online, some of it is going to be on your student portal. You can see the details there. As of now, because logistic services are little bit hampered, we are providing ebooks, but the moment logistic services start open up, uh, they start reaching all the corners of India, print books will be provided. You can see 50 plus mock tests across BBA, BMS, IPM exams. So we are going to provide you with all the key exam mock tests so that they don't come as a surprise to you when you actually go and sit for those exams, because we have mock tests for all the important exams, right? You will start with live online classes right now because centers are not yet open. But in case you have decided that you want to pursue BBA or BMS, you need not wait for the physical centers to start. You are used to online programs now, you watch a lot of videos, you have access on from your mobile also, so you are pretty comfortable in handling the online content, and you will have a face-to-face connect on a live platform which is specifically made for a live program running live. Live.imsindia.com is a platform which is specifically designed to run live classes, right? So this is for 1 year program, it's Intact 21. For 2 years program, so those who are in 11th standard now, you are going to take your exams in 2022, and those who have entered 12th standard now, you are going to take the exam in next 8 to 9 months, which is in May of 2021. Hence 2021 exam is suitable for you. Now if you don't want to come to the center at all, as I mentioned, then there is a completely online live classes, again same 380 hours, because you are in a place where IMS center is not there, you should not suffer, right? So you will be able to attend entire program online, 380 hours of content. You will be given print books, though your classes will be held online. The parents teachers meets will also be done online. In case of blended classroom, parents are called to the center. In this case, it will happen via virtual mode. Module assessment tests happen after every module. We will cover all the concepts including advanced math, so that if any of you are preparing for any of the exams that I spoke about, you should have the concepts ready for all those exams. For GK section, we have close to 1000 current affairs questions for practice through GK quizzes, and we also give weekly as well as fortnightly GK coverage. So we will not leave any stone unturned as far as the GK preparation of all those BBA exams or the hotel management mass communication exams are concerned. You will not feel that your preparation is less, even for a relatively unfamiliar topic like GK. Finally, correspondence program details. There is no change in the online content because it's a portal and everyone should have access to the portal. Obviously, you will get books. You are self-disciplined, so you will be able to prepare through those, and mock tests will be made available on your portal. In addition to the other features like concept videos, class recap videos. So in case you don't want to read through those cumbersome big books, then you can watch a concept video. So if the concept, you just need a revisor, then a 20 minutes or 25 minutes concept video is sufficient. You don't need to run through entire book. In anyways, your academic curriculum, you have to read a lot of books. So why do you need to keep doing it only because someone has given you books? No need to do so. If you need it, you use it. In case you don't need it, just go through concept videos or class recap videos and your work will be done. Great. Now let me bring you to an important part called as My IMS, which is a content rich student portal. Now why am I showing it right now? Because as part of this event, you are given 1 week of limited access. Remember, 1 week of limited access to the student portal. You are supposed to visit the link that you can see on your screen, myims.imsindia.com/login. When you registered for this event, you would have received an IMS pin along with a password in the welcome mailer, through which you could actually attend this session. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to attend this session. Now you are supposed to put the same IMS pin and password here, and there will be a drop down which you can see here, and you are going to select UG. Correct? Once you do that, you can see something like this is a student portal. Correct? Now student portal has lot of tabs, as you can see. You have home, learn, test, analytics, my plan, etc., etc. Let me do something. Let me try and log into the portal and show you how it looks. I'm going to quickly log into my IMS student portal and show you the features in next 5 minutes. That's all I need. So this is something called as a IMS student portal, right? Here I'm going to enter my username and I'm going to type my password. I'm going to select UG, and all of you will have to do this process because you are going to use the student portal for next 1 week, right? And I say login. Great. What I see here is home, right? So on home, you will see a shout box, so you can post your queries. In fact, someone asked, how do I connect to the session? She probably did not read the. No problem. So you can see events on your right hand side. You can see updates. So all the exam notifications, all the mock test launches, you can see here. You see something called as learn. Now under learn tab, what you see is recorded classes. What you also see is concept videos. See, so you can see concept video, module 1, module 2. These are nothing but different topics. So you can see indices, introduction to certs, mixed and pure certs, etc., etc. You can also see them for different subjects. So parallelism, subject verb agreement, advanced grammar, modifiers. This is English, right? And then you have legal. So in case some of you, of course, this is a different portal, but then for different subjects, you will see different concepts, and they are segregated by modules. So you have a module 2, module 3. So some more topics, roots of quadratic equation, etc., etc. You also have recap videos. What are recap videos? Recap videos are nothing but a miniature version of a class. So it's a short summary of 20 to 25 minutes of content that you can quickly go through in case you don't want to go through entire recording of 2 hours. So remember, every class that you attend, it is going to be converted into a recording, and you will be able to view that recording later in case you miss a class. Then you have something like test. Let's visit test quickly. Okay, so on test, you can see on the left hand side, you have BizQuest, which is the GK quizzes. You have topic wise test. So I spoke about topic wise test, logical reasoning, quantitative aptitude, DUJAT maths, advanced maths, verbal reasoning. So a lot of topic wise tests are there. And these are the full length mock tests. So you can say IPM entrance, NPAT, MSU Baroda, JSAT, which is for Jindal, CRISE, St. Xavier's, IPU, CET, BHU, BCom. So you name the exam, and we have enough number of mock tests in each of you. So you click on something like this, and you can see all the mock tests which we have. So IPM Rohtak, which is happening 2 days from now. See, we have all the mocks which are available for students to take anytime from their home. Then you have channel, which is interesting. So on channel, you have videos. Videos can be about form filling. Videos can be about career options. So you can see career options in accounts and finance, steps to crack IPM, form filling tricks, why to do BBA, where to pursue your BBA studies, lot of them. Then you have master class, which are particular to exams, right? So you can use them as per your requirements. Resources is where, see, in the current situation, last 3 months where we could not deliver books, what did we do? Everything was made available online. So you had something called as GK Fact Bites, which was given for GK. Then you had form filling guidelines, PPTs. Anyone wants to look at a particular form, wants to fill up a particular form, then there was a guideline to watch the form filling step-by-step process so that you don't end up filling a wrong form. Then there is something called as a study plan. So how do I study for next 1 year? Month-wise breakup. That is given for the 1 year as well as 2 year students. E-books. So when it was not possible for us to print and deliver physical books, this did. So you can see all the workbooks, they are all the PDF files, you can read them. Till the time we could make the print copies. Of course, now print copies have been made available and they are being made available for the future students also. So this was just to give you an idea of the student portal, and you have access to this portal for next 1 week. So ensure that you use this to the best of your time, to the best of available time. Let me go back to the previous screen. I think 5 to 7 more minutes and we are done. Then questions. See, what does IMS bring to the table? That is the most important part you want to know in the last 5 minutes. Highly experienced faculty. As I said, we are the oldest test preparation we are the oldest test preparation player for the management entrances, which includes the likes of CAT, GMAT, CMAT, IIFT. You would have heard some of the names. And we are the market leaders in the BBA test preparation also, BBA or BMS. You saw our student portal. We believe in mentorship. So because someone has joined us, not all 5 fingers of hand are of equal length. That means someone needs special attention. Someone needs some hand holding, and rest he or she will manage on their own. But we believe that every individual requires a different attention and different focus in the preparation. So we come up with parent-student feedback sessions. There is a one-on-one mentorship which happens. In fact, there are mentorship slots which are booked by every center for all the enrolled students, so that you don't feel isolated as far as concerned that program has started, okay, now students should do something on their own. That's not how we treat them. Inclusive classroom study, so you can use our labs for practice. You can use our classrooms for practice. In fact, for some students, IMS becomes second home during their test preparation duration with us. Success at IMS, well, the chart speaks for itself. So DUJET, in fact, last year's DUJET topper Ishan Jain, 2 days back, he addressed all our students, all the DUJET 2020 takers, as to how the preparation strategy should be. Last year, we had 1100 selections for NMIMS UG programs. And in fact, I'm happy to tell you that yesterday, INPACT 2020 results are out. BSc Economics rank 1 and BSc Finance rank 3. So far, we have identified that these two are IMS students. I am sure there will be many more. Just imagine 1100 selections for all the UG programs from NM alone. 50 plus PIVAT calls from Symbiosis, all programs, BBA, Economics, whatever. St. Xavier's rank 1, 3 and 4. All are IMS students. So it's a virtual monopoly. 100 plus PIVAT calls for IIM Indore and Rohtak exams. Results speak for themselves. Finally, what next? I'm in the last 2 slides. As I mentioned, avail a week-long free access to IMS student portal features. Watch 5 recorded demo classes. So watch live.imsindia.com with the same user ID and IMS pin and password. You will be able to watch 5 full-length recorded demo classes. Attend them and satisfy yourself that this is what you want to study. Contact the nearest IMS center for a free one-on-one counseling session with experts. Even if you decide not to join IMS, it's perfectly okay. We'll be happy to help you with what is right for you, the stream as well as the colleges that you should target. So meet IMS experts for a one-on-one counseling. We'll be happy to guide you. How do you find the nearest center? The best way is to visit imsindia.com/locate center or write to inquiry@imsindia.com with your name, contact number and city, and we will guide you to the nearest IMS center so that you can later on connect with them for a counseling session, right? What do you have to do next? You don't have to decide right now whether you want to join BBA, BMS or IPM studies, but you definitely need to decide whether you want to keep options open to join them. See, it should not happen that there were a few programs being offered through the entrance route, but I never prepared for the entrance exam. So how will I get there? Then my friend ends up getting there, and then I realized if I would have kept this option open, probably I would have also entered these institutes. Imagine that the merit-based admissions are getting more and more tough. The percentages in the excess of 95, if you are a commerce student, typically get admission into the most coveted colleges which offer a merit. For example, in Mumbai University, all the BMS colleges affiliated to the government of Maharashtra, they take admissions to their BMS programs on the basis of entrance test, on the basis of 12th standard marks. Now, if there is a rat race for the 12th standard marks, do you not want to keep another option open, which is purely entrance based, in which the role of your 12th standard marks is limited to eligibility to that program? Then you are keeping a buffer for yourself. This does not mean 12th standard marks are not important. They are absolutely important. They form a permanent feature on your profile. So ensure that you score well in your 12th standard. There is no option to that. But keep your other options open, where largely you clear an entrance, you do well in PI and VAT, and you have a good chance of making to any institute. As I mentioned earlier, do you want to keep entire preparation in the last 4 to 5 weeks after your boards? Think twice. Things to handle like advanced maths require a systematic preparation. Don't leave your preparation to the last minute. It takes time to develop the aptitude test mindset, use of options, smart techniques to reach an answer, right selection of questions takes time. Plan your test prep journey via learn, practice and test phases. It's not as if you see a chapter in the book, chalo ho jayega, and you start taking a mock, you are not going to score. There has to be a systematic learn, practice, test phases. Give yourself that time. Online live classes have already started for the BBA 21-22 programs. Even if you go for a blended program, it will still start with the online classes as of now. Whenever the classroom opens, you are going to shift to a blended classroom program where classes will happen physically. If you decide to join any of our blended classroom programs for 1 year or 2 years, you can avail a 20% discount. The offer is valid till 23rd July, which is next 4 to 5 days. All you need to do is find out the nearest IMS center, contact them with the IMS pin that you would have received on your mail, and tell them that you participated in this session. They will verify with the data that they have, and they will give you a 20% discount on the blended classroom programs for the next 4 days. Right? This is what you have to decide. How do we stay connected? So first of all, please ensure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel called as IMS Careers After 12th. You will see it here. IMS Careers After 12th. Ensure that you subscribe. Lot of good videos are being uploaded there. Exam specific, career specific, college specific. Right? So this is all you will need to know for your careers after 12th, and it can be useful today or later. So ensure you subscribe to that, and let's stay connected. Please connect with your nearest IMS center. They'll be more than happy to talk to you. Decide your career path wisely, because next 1 or 2 years are going to be crucial. It will give you a lot of opportunities and throw you options which you are not aware of earlier. Right? All the best. Stay safe. Stay at home, and see you soon sometime. Bye.